Hello, good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm Kevin. I'm the owner of Well Launched, boom, and boom. Well Launched is a brand management agency, and we make quality services, including awesome websites, great booking solutions, and A1 AI voice receptionists. Or it can be a receptionist assistant. But that's what we do at Well Launched, and this is the second week of these live streams that I'm doing. I'm broadcasting them to YouTube, and also I'm trying to broadcast them to Facebook. I'm also trying to broadcast them to YouTube, but for some reason, even though my YouTube account will allow me, it won't, like this broadcasting system, Ecamm Live, won't allow me. I don't know what it is, but hopefully I can figure it out. But today, right, makes the fifth video that I've done in this format, and we're talking today about consistency. Now, I went on Google and I typed in, consistency and how important that is, and you get like so many people talking about consistency, and it's very trendy to talk about because it's true, but also everybody, feels like they're an expert in the matter. And so I'm not going to try to be your expert on how to be consistent. I want to talk with you about what it looks like to be consistent, how to maintain a consistent presence, and what benefit that will have for our businesses. This is only episode 5 for me. So, what will it look like for Well Launched in a year, in 2 years? Preferably, it'll look way better than it does today, right? Because the steps I'm taking today will eventually affect how my business looks in 2 years. If I stop, right? If I am choppy with it, if I don't improve over time, then things will not improve in the long term. Like, for example, I heard somebody say, if you want to know where you'll be at in a few years, look at where you're at now, right? So like, if I wake up in the morning and I'm late waking up and I say, well, where am I going to be in 10 years? I'm probably going to be late waking up if things don't change, right? Now, there's a difference, in my opinion, between change and consistency, right? Like, before you can be consistent, in a lot of cases, you might need to change some things up. You might need to actually recalibrate and get yourself right. Then once you get yourself in a sweet spot, you want to be consistent there. And then make improvements over time, but that seems to be right what it takes, especially for people that blow up online, that have streams or courses or whatever, and they end up being successful. A lot of the times they're successful because they have a backlog, right? So by the time someone finds them, people can binge watch them, right? And then their success just begins to build. So my hope for Well Launched is that I can be consistent, not just in the business. I mean, I want to say a given, right? In my mind, being consistent with my clients is what it'll take for them to keep paying me, right? But something like this stream, which isn't necessarily generating me income at the moment, I've got to be just as consistent with this. And I think, as I'm speaking out loud here, is that we can't kind of take for granted as entrepreneurs that we do have some people rocking with us, that we do have clients and so on. Like, we can't just throw them in our book bag and kind of forget they're there. What's a good analogy that comes to mind? Like, okay, so I've got 4 kids, right? So we have a minivan, and the kids will get in the minivan and we'll go to soccer practice, or we'll take our daughter to dance practice, and they do things, right? They eat food in the car, right? It might be a wet and grassy day and at the soccer field, and they'll get in and they'll walk in the car with their grassy shoes, and if I don't clean the car frequently, then after a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, the car is just absolutely filthy. Like, I cleaned the car out the other day. I mean, under booster seats and car seats, just like snacks galore, right? So So it's important, right, in that case, to clean the car regularly if you want your car to be well. Similarly, with the clients that we have, if we just have them in the book bag, right, and they're in there swooshing around as we rip and run, like that's not helpful to them. It's not good enough just to have them. It's better for us, I think, as I'm talking it through, that we maintain our relationship with our clients, making sure that the service they're receiving is consistent and it's high quality all the time, but also that we maintain that relationship with them. Last analogy I'll make before I talk about maybe something a little different is it's like an oil change, right? Our cars are meant to, like a catalytic converter in our cars, they're meant to last the lifetime of the car. But a lot of times check engine lights come on because the cat converter's clogged. And a lot of times the cat converter's clogged because you weren't regular with your oil changes. You weren't putting, fuel, I don't know what it's called, like sea foam, to improve your fuel, or you were getting cheap gas all the time, like you're not maintaining your car, so lights come on and things like that. And you're like, well, why are my wheels still rolling, but my engine is tripping? Because you didn't maintain the little things. You weren't changing the air filter. You weren't doing those things. So, yeah, all those things come to mind when it comes to consistency. And for me, I'm like, it's really on my mind because I'm not a young entrepreneur, but my business, well launched, is relatively young, and I want to be around for years and years and years to come. I want to pass it on to my kids. And in order to do that, I've got to make sure that my engine is sweet, that not only is it running, but it's running well and it's running consistently, and that I'm serving people well and consistently, right? So those are the things that come to mind. I'm wondering what you think. Like, what are some keys that you've come across in terms of how to be consistent, right? How do you deal with the ebbs and flows of life, and how do you keep it pushing? How do you be wise in high moments, and how do you be, frugal and wise in low moments so that you can keep it pushing? Those are things I'm going to be thinking about. I want you to be thinking about it as well. But I did mention in the beginning, I went on YouTube and I looked up things about consistency, and there's so many gurus out there, right? That, consistency is key, and I'll tell you why. But I actually did an interview with one of my clients. His name is Anthony in Tyrone, Georgia. He owns a barbershop, Anthony's Barbershop. And he told me for him, consistency was key. And he told me a few things about it. So let's go to somebody I trust, right? One of the gurus I respect, one of my clients, Anthony. We're going to hear what he has to say about consistency. Let's check it out. Okay, here. Bear with me. Okay, my boy what's up, Anthony? Anthony's Barbershop. Okay. So we talked a little bit about a lot this day. And he's got a little short answer about consistency. Let's see what he's got to say. Now, I want to talk about this for a second because you mentioned consistency numerous times in numerous ways. And so for you, from cutting your hair all the way to turning your lights on in the morning, you got a system
in place.
Okay, so in case you didn't hear that, I said so from, coming into the shop and cutting the lights on to cutting that first head, and he, responds with, he's got a system in place. And let's hear what he's got to say.
Yes, because it helps you to be able, for me, to function smoothly. Even though you may have some obstacles that come in your way, but the steps are in place. You already got that down.
So let me let him go.
Let's just say, for an example, if a client has to be somewhere at a certain time, and depending on your system in play, you know for sure that you're going to be able to have them out for that time. So that's why I do the consistency.
Now I'm going to double up on what he said. That was a short answer, but I'm going to tell you what we talked about off camera. So he mentioned that about how for him as a barber, right, when he his method, right, is so consistent that he can know, and his customers can know when they come in for a cut, that they're going to get in and out just like that. Like if they're supposed to sit down at 5 o'clock and get out by 5:30, they know they're in, they know they're out. They can count on him so that they can go and be accountable to their lives as well. Like that's what works for him, and I thought that was so impactful, right? Because it's not just how we serve others, right, as entrepreneurs. It's also how our serving others can help them serve the people they're called to serve. Like, let's say I was on a meeting to do an AI demo with one of you guys. And I'm like, okay, I need to get shaped up. I need to get cleaned up at the barber shop, right? And I go to Anthony. And imagine that Anthony doesn't have his P's and his Q's in order. And so I show up, and my appointment's at 5, but Anthony's got somebody else, and he's running late for me. And then by 5:15, I finally sit down, but I knew I had to be out of there by 5:30. But it takes him 30 minutes to deal with me. Then I'm running late. Now I can't go. Now I'm late to my appointment with you. And what's that gonna sound like? Oh, I'm running late because my barber didn't do his job. And it's like, well, you're not gonna care, right? So I need to be able to rely on Ant to cut my hair consistently in a timely fashion so that I can go on then and be of service to you so that you know that I'm going to be on time for our demos, for the things we have going on. Like that's, I think, how the trickle down effect of entrepreneurship works. Like it's not just that, we need to be consistent for our customers' sake. It's that they're working with us, hopefully to improve their operation. Right, so like Well Launched in particular. So Ant, he's got the full package. He's got the booking, he's got the website, and we're setting him up with the AI voice assistant. So his booking and his customer outreach is all A1. When his customers have an appointment, they get their text, hey, your appointment's at this time. When they're on the way, Ant gets a text, hey, such and such is on the way, they'll be here at this time. And then he's able, because he has the methods of consistency. I said I would say it and I didn't say it, but here's one thing Ant said to me. He said, I'm so consistent that I start my cuts on one side of the head and then I work my way to the other side of the head. Next person comes in, same side, boom, 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 boom. Everything the same, from the way he does his C cups to the way he does his fades to the rotation of the customer in the chair. It's the same. If you caught Bro on video, it would just be like boom, 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 a robot, because that's how he pumps them out. And he's got hundreds of clients and they're satisfied with him. You know what I mean? So in terms of improving his business, when he wants to improve, his the time that people are in his chair, he can do that systematically because his process for cutting is just that consistent, right? And so working with Well Launched has helped him. Sorry. I'm getting a call. I'll get it later. But his system is so A1 that he can just turn it on and multiply it regularly. And he can do that using Well Launched. That's what our stuff is all about. And so just a heads up, look, I'm not actually lying. I do have a phone call, and they're leaving a voicemail right now, but I got to finish up with you guys. So for me, one thing I'm working on is increasing my productivity, like my consistency, so I can increase my productivity. So for example, waking up at a certain time, I've got this, I've got that. Like, it's kind of foreign to me how Anthony does his thing, but it makes so much sense, and it explains why he's so successful at what he does on his barbershop. Like he said, when you have your plan in place, it's not that that plan nullifies things going south or things changing up, but it gives you a solid foundation to plant your feet so that when things do shift, you know how far they've shifted from the norm and you know what you have to do to recorrect yourself. And that's so important. And so that's what I'd like to keep in mind. I'd like you to keep in mind. How can we be more consistent? Like for me, if I'm going to keep this stream, let me phrase this correctly. As I endeavor to keep this stream going strong, I've got to have a set time that I do it on particular days, and I've got to do it consistently in the same way so that you can rely on me, so that you know, like my intention in doing it early is that as you're on your way to work, you can tune in, right? Today, I was late, okay? Now I haven't set my thing in order yet, but as I set it in order, I've got to figure out what's a good time, what's a good method, you know, how do I get it to the people, and then do it that same way, Monday through Friday, like a radio show. That's the reason radio shows are successful. That's the reason big podcasts are successful. It's because people are consistent. And so let's be like that so that everybody that works with us is happy to do so. So y'all, that's all that I'm going to talk about today. We've been 15 minutes. That's a good time. We're going to get out of here. Plan to see me tomorrow. I'll plan to be here tomorrow, and we'll talk about something else then. For now, I hope you're blessed. I hope you're safe. I hope you're out there getting to the bag. And most of all, I hope you're well launched on your way. If not, check me out. Check us out on well-launch.com. I'll see you soon. Peace.